Hello, and welcome to uh, the VITA Volunteers training course at Newberry College in 2023. This is a class that we're teaching for credit at Newberry College. I'm Professor Rick Marsh, and if you're registered for the January term, you're going to want to access this course through Wolf Den. If you are not registered for this course but are just wanting to learn about how to become a tax preparer, then you'll probably want to access this course through a combination of the IRS Link and Learn website, also sometimes called VITA TCE Central, and also the videos that I will be posting at my YouTube page, and I'll provide a link for that YouTube page before we finish today. So I am happy to be teaching this course. Again, my name is Rick Marsh, and I am a lawyer as well as a CPA. I have studied taxation and practiced in the tax field for over 4 decades, and have helped many people both with their tax planning and their tax compliance, and represented them before the Internal Revenue Service on many occasions. So to get started, what I'd like to suggest is that you go to the VITA TCE website, and to get there, what I'm going to ask you to do is to go to your browser and just get a new page and type in the following. Type in www link learn certification. Link Learn Certification, all just one word, no spaces, no hyphens, and then put .com, and just search for that, and that should take you right to a screen that says VITA TCE Central. If your browser doesn't take you there, you can also go to the IRS's website, which is www.irs.gov, and in the keyword search in the top, sort of toward the top right hand corner of the screen, type in Link and Learn and click on that, and then click on the link that takes you to linklearncertification.com. And so when you get to that site, what you're going to want to do is to set up a new account with the IRS and create a username and a password for yourself, and that will give you access to a lot of the information, most of the training materials that we will need in this course during the next 3 weeks in our shortened January term course, and of course to get us ready to prepare tax returns by the time that the IRS gets all their forms and all their new instructions for next year's filing season, for this year's filing season, out and in the public. And the IRS, of course, is still in the process of updating some of the forms for 2022 tax returns that, of course, we file in the spring during 2023. Okay, so set up a new account and create a username and password. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is go back to www.irs.gov. And I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. One is to download a copy of publication 4491. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is go up into that keyword box again, type in publication 4491, 4,491 publication, and that should bring you right to the publication form. Click on it and then save it as a PDF. This is the VITA TCE training guide, and you will refer to this publication throughout your training and throughout your work as a tax preparer if you choose to volunteer, which I certainly hope that you will. Learning this information without doing it is a little bit like memorizing recipes but never cooking anything. So please do, and there's a lot about taxes which are just like cooking, particularly baking. You follow step by step, and don't get too creative with baking. Baking is a science. Being a good chef maybe is an art, but baking is a science, and so is tax preparation. Also, at www.irs.gov, I'm going to ask you to go back to that keyword box again and to enter publication 17. This is a publication called Your Federal Income Tax, and you will also refer to this throughout your training and throughout your work as a tax preparer. And publication 17, if you'll go to your copy of publication 17 and go to page 4 of the 2022, and always make sure that you're working with the current version. And so the current version for all of these is going to say 2022, not 2023, because it's for last year's taxes that we're preparing these returns. But publication 17 is going to be extremely helpful to you. And on page 4 of publication 17, if you've got a PDF version of that, what you're going to find is you're going to find a link to the additional information that you might need. And so you'll find that on that page 4 of publication 17, there's a list of publication 17 changes and a number of things that have changed. And it's a link to other publications that what you will want to do is to check those publications if you need additional information about some of these topics. And these are topics that have changed over the past year and are in the process of being updated. So maybe don't click on the additional primary publications, say for travel, gift, and car expenses, or charitable contributions, or medical and dental expenses, because many of those links take you to the 2021 versions of those publications. But in the next 3 weeks to 4 weeks, the IRS should have updated all of those publications with the information that'll be current and accurate for 2022 tax returns. Okay. Then I'm going to ask you to go to back up to irs.gov and go into the keyword search again and search for Form 1040. And Form 1040 you'll find has been updated for 2022, and you might just want to take a look at Form 1040 and browse through it, and then also perhaps go back and after you've clicked on Form 1040, go back to the main screen for Form 1040 and take a look at Schedules 1, 2, 3, and also the instructions for these forms as well. And there's links to all of those things at that main page for Form 1040. Also note that there's a Form 1040 SR, and part of the work that we're going to be doing in preparing tax returns for the public is also to be preparing senior tax returns. And there's a Form 1040 SR, which also has been updated now for 2022, and that's for senior citizens. Now, the definition of a senior citizen is someone who was born prior to tomorrow. I'm recording this on New Year's Day, 2023. Tomorrow is January 2nd, 2023. And if they have their 65th birthday today, then they qualify to file Form 1040 SR for last year. However, if their birth date occurs after January 2nd of 1958, in other words, they won't be 65 until tomorrow or later, then they don't qualify to file Form 1040 SR. And that's just a simpler version of the Form 1040 for senior citizens. And so you can definitely file a regular Form 1040 if you're over 65, but you have the choice to file a somewhat simpler form that's already updated for the differences between senior citizens and other taxpayers, because there are some breaks for seniors in the tax code. So you might choose to use that form that already has that baked into the calculations. Also, if you look at the instructions for the two forms, they're very detailed and complete, and you will refer to those instructions many times as you work as a tax preparer, and perhaps even as you do the work in this course. Okay, now the next document that we're going to take a look at, and I'm going to get up to that in just a second. Well, let's just see here what we're doing. I think as you go, let's go back to the Link and Learn, and what you'll see once you set up your account is that and you need to complete what you're expecting to do as far as your work in the type of returns that you want to learn how to prepare. You have certain choices, and what will pop up for you are some links to take some of the kind of gatekeeper certification exams, and that's the Volunteer Standard of Conduct exam. Everyone who works in the VITA program or the TCE program has to study this, study the Volunteer Standards of Conduct, and also take the exam, and then also the intake and interview and quality review standards, and take and pass that exam as well. And you'll see that there are quite a few ways to learn that, but there are basically 6 volunteer standards of conduct, and you can go through them, but those are important to understand that you're getting in this to provide quality tax preparation services for qualifying taxpayers, generally speaking, people who make about $60,000 or less, people with disability, limited English speakers, senior citizens, and this is a program that has been around for over 50 years. It was greatly expanded by some of the recent top officials at the Internal Revenue Service, and there are very few taxpayers who aren't within at least 25 miles or so of a VITA volunteer of some sort. Newberry has had some VITA services in the past, and we're happy to combine our efforts with their efforts in past years, and are expecting to at least add to this program in this area for the residents within, perhaps 25 to 30 miles of my voice, which kind of gets us to the edge of Columbia, down into Saluda, west toward Greenwood, and north, back up toward the Blair area, or some of those towns up Whitmire, for example, up in that area. So we hope that if you're watching this, that you will not only study carefully, but also think about ways that we can recruit clients to the program, people who will come and use our services. If you're looking at, and I'm going to try to pull up my copy of publication. Let's see what we've got here. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So as we're looking at getting started in our studies, what I'd like to do is just to tell you that I'm always available. You can find my lectures at my YouTube page, and I'll go ahead and I'll pull that up right now and see how we can get into that. And so my YouTube channel is called Rick Marsh, and it's at Rick Marsh 1196. And please, if you would, go to that YouTube page and subscribe to that channel, and you will find all of the videos that I'm recording at the 2023 VITA Volunteer playlist for that page. So I have several playlists related to my teaching at Newberry College. You'll see 5 or 6 of those there as well for the various courses that I've taught there. And you will also see one for 2023 VITA Volunteers, and that's the one that you should check for updated videos. And so that's at Rick Marsh, just at RickMarsh, sorry, 1196. So at Rick Marsh 1196, and please do subscribe to that. There will be additional resources. I am updating the syllabus. If you don't have the syllabus, and because you don't have access to WolfDen, send me an email. My email address is rmarsh@marshlawfirm.com, and I will send you the original syllabus and also the revised and updated one that has the individual lessons that we're going to study over these next 3 weeks. And then also, if you would make sure that you are familiar with the Link and Learn taxes at the VITA TCE Central website and just look around and check things out, and take a look at the copy that you have of publication 17 and the copy of publication 4491, and just from time to time take a look at it and make sure that it's something that you're familiar with. And, just additional exposure from time to time is going to make things easier for you. Now, there's another publication also that is designed to be a guide to assist you in preparing tax returns with the software, the TaxSlayer software that we are entitled to use for free at the IRS in doing our work in the VITA program and the TCE program. And that TaxSlayer software is described in considerable detail in publication 4012, 4012, publication 4012. You don't have to download that now, but just understand that we will be learning that particular app, that particular program, and using that to prepare the tax returns. So as we go through the course this week, you'll take the Volunteer Standards of Conduct certification and the Intake Interview Quality Review certification tests, and then we'll assign about 10 short substantive topics per week. There's a 3-week course. There are about 30 some lessons for the advanced program, maybe 20 to 25 for the basic program. If you just want to get certified to do simple returns, that's the basic program. The advanced returns, you can do all of the returns that are authorized to be provided to taxpayers in the VITA program. There are other certifications as well in addition to basic and advanced. There's a certification for military type returns, and there's 1 or 2 lessons that are specific to that, which I will be teaching and posting. If you're not interested in the military certification, then you don't have to take those lessons. There's an international certification, which I will also be posting information about, and both the military and the international certifications require that you first become certified in the advanced returns. So there's also a Puerto Rico certification, which I would not be teaching unless I'm requested to do so, and I'm happy to do that with the caveat that I have to teach it in English. My Spanish isn't good enough to teach it in Spanish. There's a foreign student certification, so if you're a foreign student, please contact me and I'll help you through those materials to get that certification. And then there's also a scholar certification, which is something that I hadn't seen before. Apparently it's new this year, but I may try to get that myself. So other resources that we have, there is the publication 6744, which is the test and retest booklet. So all of the questions for the certification exams are in that particular booklet for publication 6744. So it's certainly acceptable, and I certainly plan to teach to the test. So maybe get a copy of that. It's several hundred pages long, but in publication 6744, on page 3 of that publication, you have the kind of it's a flow chart that shows how the certification tests are done, the order in which they're completed. So first you would take the volunteer standard of conduct exam and the intake interview and quality review. And all of the students, all of you will be taking those two exams first. And then if you want to take the foreign student or test, then you can take that immediately. That's actually a very detailed program of study for foreign student taxes and the taxation usually of non-resident aliens, which is something that I would probably have to study quite a bit, despite having been in practice for as long as I have. That's an area that's still a little bit obscure to me. And then you've got a choice to do the basic or the advanced certification. I'm going to teach all of the lessons in the advanced course, and I'll identify any lessons which are advanced for those of you who just want the basic certification, so that you don't have to waste your time taking something that you don't need to know. But the advanced course has maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 lessons, 5 or 6 lessons that are in addition to the basic lessons in the course. And then out of the basic program, you can again get the Puerto Rico certifications, level 1, level 2. Out of the advanced certification, you can go and get the military or the international certification. So that's on page 3 of the Form 6744. Then on page 11, there's several intervening pages which are just kind of answer sheets. On page 11, they have the volunteer standard of conduct test, so you can see the questions that are required to pass the volunteer standard of conduct test. They don't give you the answers, but you can look at the questions and go back through the materials and find the answers. And so that seems like a fair way to test, and actually one that really is not designed to test your intellect or hide the ball. It's just one to make sure that you read enough of the materials to know the answers to these key questions. And then immediately after that, starting on page 15, is the volunteer standards of conduct. I'm sorry, the retest questions. So if you did fail the first test, then you can take the retest and you can see the questions there. And by the way, a passing grade on all of this is 80%. So you have to get 8 out of 10 on a 10-question test, 12 out of 15 on a 15-question test, and so on in order to pass. Now, after the volunteer standards of conduct tests and retests, there's the intake interview and quality review tests and retests, and that goes on until about page 26. Beginning on page 29 are the basic test and advanced level tests, and that goes all the way up to page 114. And so there's each of those have a set of questions, and again, you have to get an 80% score to pass. And if you miss it the first time, you can take a retest and pass it the second time. Then beginning on page 115 are the military returns test and retest. Page 133 are the international taxation tests and retests, and then so on and so forth. And that's it basically for the basic publications that we're going to be working with this semester. There'll be some others that come along. The IRS has lots of publications, and we'll probably look at some of the details about the specific items of income and deduction and credit as we go through the course and some of their publications. But again, a lot of those haven't been updated for 2022 yet, just the ones that I've mentioned here today. So anyhow, looking forward to working with you and training you in what will can be a very useful and very valuable skill, preparing tax returns, and also something that you can use to make a real contribution to people in need in the community and providing volunteer services for lower income taxpayers and for the elderly and disabled. So anyhow, let's work together on this and make it a good spring, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. So in the meantime, have a great day and have a happy 2023. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.